Now it's time for another Board Game Brawl preview with Nick Meanahan, sponsored by BoardGameBliss.com.
Hey folks, today we're going to take a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Fayre of the Forgotten. It's from the publisher Thoughtfish. If you like what you see throughout the rest of this preview video, I'm going to encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page. There's going to be a link up in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. Those links are going to take you to the Kickstarter project page. You don't have to take my word for it. You can find out more information for yourself, and hopefully you'll consider backing the project. Now, Fayre of the Forgotten is a competitive game that has a very dark, mystical setting. It's in an abandoned fairground funhouse where there's these proprietors. That's what you and the other players play as, who have been sort of cursed by this mirror that was put into the funhouse. This dark mirror that is stealing parts of your soul. It's basically fragmented every proprietor's soul into various shards, and you need to gather as many shards as you can together, yours or the other people's. And the first person to get to 20 shards is going to be the winner. But of course, it's a little more complicated than that. Not only do you have to make sure that you're the first person to get those shards by competing with the other players against to get them, you also have to use through worker placement all the different locations to the best of your ability, and you also have to make sure you don't go insane. So let me go ahead and give you a brief look at how the game is played with a prototype version of the game. You'll know that as soon as you see it. But it is just a prototype version, but I just want to give you a feel for what the game is like. So just keep that in mind. Go to the Kickstarter page to see what the final components are going to look like. But then we're going to come back and I'll give you my final thoughts.
Fayre of the Forgotten is a competitive game for 2 to 5 players. Each player is a proprietor at this dark carnival, and your goal is to be the first player to collect 20 soul shards. As soon as one person meets that threshold at any time, the game is over and they win. To set up the game, lay out 7 different attractions. Note that my print and play version is missing a few by my own fault. Each attraction has a different special ability that occurs when you move onto it. For example, the Cabinet of Curiosities forces one player to lose 2 shards, or 2 players to lose 1. But not all of these attractions are positive for you. The Tunnel of Horrors makes you lose 3 shards, and one opponent gets 2, or 2 get 1. And some effects will force you to move here. Some attractions are more selectively useful. The Hall of Mirrors gets you action cards, but then every player at the attraction must swap soul shards with the players on their left. The House of the Occult is a special attraction. It allows you to take control of another attraction that is able to be controlled. This will cost you shards as indicated on the attraction, but in exchange you gain 1 shard for every attraction you control every turn, and every time someone else stops on your attraction, they must pay you a shard. Each player chooses a different character sheet and takes the control tokens and character piece associated with them. Every character has a different special ability. For example, Lilith starts the game with 2 action cards. Once per game, Alexa can discard 3 action cards and immediately redraw that many, and so on and so forth. There are 2 decks of cards to shuffle, action cards and psychosis cards. Action cards are used by you, and usually beneficial. Exorcism can force another player out of an attraction and let you take control. Puppeteer lets you take control of another player momentarily. Equilibrium Meditation will equalize your soul shards with another player's, which might give you bonus shards, and so on and so forth. Psychosis cards are bad, and must be drawn when you're afflicted with madness from certain effects. When you're afflicted with madness, you draw the top 5 cards to form a face-down pile every time that happens. Every upkeep you'll have to draw the top card from each pile of madness and do whatever the cards say. Usually they will force you to move to certain places, or forbid you from moving to certain places. Some make you discard cards and tokens. Make a pile of soul shard tokens within reach of all the players, and then decide who will go first. The first thing you do on your turn is upkeep, starting with drawing an action card. Second, during upkeep, check for control of any of the attractions. You'll get a soul shard for each one. Lastly, check on your madness and draw from each of your piles. Next is movement. You can move to any attraction you want each turn, or stay at the same one, unless it's the Hall of Mirrors, which forces you to move away. If you move to an attraction controlled by another player, they get a shard token from the pool. Afterwards, you resolve the action of the new location. Next is the action phase, where you are allowed to play up to 2 action cards for their effect. You will repeat this process in turn order until someone gets to 20 shards, and then wins the game. That is Fayre of the Forgotten. On to my final thoughts.
Well, theme is something that's always important to me and to a lot of people. And so, of course, you have to take note of Fayre of the Forgotten's theme, which is this really dark, sort of almost Lovecraftian in a sense, but almost more like dark gothic horror, something like Carnival, that old TV series, or Carnival, I think it's just called. Things like that, or even shows a little bit like, or things like The Prestige. That kind of feeling to the game, especially if you look at something like what the final components and artwork are going to look like. That's really what's brought up from the game, is that kind of feel to it. And then when you add that together with solid Euro game style elements of worker placement and resource management and card play and hand management, where you have to get action cards as best you can and try to use them in very strategic ways against the other players. And of course, another thing of hand management, in a sense, is the madness element. And that's where sort of the Lovecraftian bit comes in just a little bit, where you have to manage this madness if you're so unfortunate as to take it, and the different piles, and just be willing to sacrifice in order to get rid of it and put yourself ahead of the other players. Some of the different worker placement spots really require you to outwit your opponents and put yourself in a very strategic position, gaining control of those in order to increase the amount of soul shards that you're going to gain over time, sort of thinking in the long view. You have to take all these things into account. So it is a race to get to that 20 soul shard mark. But on the other hand, it's not a sprint. It's it's sort of a marathon in a sense, because you can't just blow through it and try to get as many shards as possible, because then your opponents are going to set up better strategies than you and start taking your shards away. Things like that you have to keep in mind. So it's a very interesting game. I think that it's easy enough for even casual gamers to get into, but I think there's enough strategic depth for people who are more hardcore gamers to enjoy as well. So if you like that dark theme, if you like the sort of worker placement and hand management aspects to it, and it just seems like it's your cup of tea, definitely go to the official Kickstarter project page and find out more information than I could possibly tell you here, and hopefully consider backing the project. There'll be a link up in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath the video. That is Fayre of the Forgotten from the publisher Thoughtfish. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.
Thanks for watching. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Patreon. And make sure to check out our sponsor, Board Game Bliss, where you can find an amazing selection of games from around the world. BoardGameBliss.com. Thanks for your support.